Maya Johnson clutched the crumpled $10 bill in her pocket as she walked down the busy street toward the grocery store. The money felt heavy in her hand, not because of its weight, but because of what it represented. It was all she had left from her weekend job cleaning offices downtown, and tomorrow was her mother's birthday. The sun was setting behind the tall buildings, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. Maya's worn sneakers made soft sounds against the concrete as she hurried along, trying to avoid the cracks that seemed to mirror the uncertainty in her heart. She had been planning this moment for weeks, saving every penny she could from her small earnings. At 17, Maya had learned to be practical about money. Her mother, Sandra, worked 2 jobs to keep their small apartment in the rough part of town. Sandra cleaned houses during the day and worked the night shift at a local diner, often coming home exhausted with flour in her hair and the smell of grease on her uniform. Maya rarely saw her mother awake during daylight hours. The grocery store's automatic doors whooshed open, and Maya stepped inside. The cool air conditioning hit her face as she looked around at the bright fluorescent lights and neat rows of products. She had been here many times before, but today felt different. Today, she was on a mission. Maya made her way to the bakery section, her heart sinking a little as she saw the prices displayed on small white cards next to each cake. The cheapest birthday cake cost $15. She counted her money again, hoping somehow it had in her pocket. Still $10. The bakery worker, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, noticed Maya staring at the cakes. "Can I help you find something, honey?" she asked gently. Maya looked up embarrassed. "I'm looking for a birthday cake for my mom, but I only have $10. Her voice was quiet, almost ashamed. The woman's expression softened. She had seen many young people in similar situations. "Well, let me see what we might be able to work out," she said, walking around the counter to stand next to Maya. They looked at the selection together. There were beautiful decorated cakes with roses and fancy writing, but they were all out of Maya's price range. The woman pointed to a small chocolate cake in the discount section. "This one's $8. It's perfectly good, just made yesterday instead of today." Maya's face lit up a little. The cake was plain but decent-sized, and it would leave her with $2 for candles. "That would be perfect," she said gratefully. As they walked toward the checkout counter, Maya felt a sense of relief. Her mother loved chocolate, and this cake would make her happy. It might not be fancy, but it was made with love and sacrifice. The store was busy with evening shoppers. Maya got in line behind a well-dressed man in an expensive suit who was buying groceries that probably cost more than her family spent in a month. She tried not to stare at his cart full of premium items, organic vegetables, imported cheese, fancy bottles of wine. When it was Maya's turn, she carefully placed the cake on the conveyor belt and handed over her $10 bill. The cashier, a teenager not much older than Maya, rang up the cake and grabbed a pack of candles from the display. "That'll be $10.37, the cashier said without looking up. Maya's heart stopped, but the sign said $8 for the cake. The cashier checked the price tag again. $8 for the cake plus tax, and the candles are $1.50. Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. She had forgotten about tax. I only have $10, she whispered. The line behind her was growing longer. She could feel people getting impatient. The well-dressed man she had been standing behind had already paid and was loading his groceries into expensive-looking bags. "You'll have to put something back," the cashier said, not unkindly but matter-of-factly. Maya looked at the cake and then at the candles. Without candles, it wouldn't really be a birthday cake. But without the cake, there would be no celebration at all. She felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "I'll take the cake without the candles," she said quietly, trying to hold back her emotions. Just as the cashier reached for the candles to put them back, a deep voice spoke from behind Maya. "Add the candles to my bill." Maya turned around to see the well-dressed man from earlier. He was tall, probably in his 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes behind expensive glasses. He had come back from bagging his groceries to help her. "Oh no, sir, I couldn't," Maya protested. "It's okay, really." The man smiled gently. "It's just a pack of candles. Every birthday cake needs candles." He handed the cashier $2. "Actually, make that 2 packs. Birthdays should have extra candles for making wishes." The cashier added the candles to Maya's bag, and Maya found herself walking out of the store beside the stranger. She didn't know what to say. Random acts of kindness weren't common in her neighborhood. "Thank you so much," she finally managed. "That was really nice of you." The man stopped walking and turned to face her. "What's your name?" "Maya," she replied, still clutching her bag with the cake and candles. "Maya, I'm Robert." He paused, seeming to consider his words carefully. "Can I ask you something? Is this cake for someone special?" Maya nodded. "My mom, tomorrow's her birthday. She works really hard, and I wanted to do something nice for her." Robert's expression grew thoughtful. "Tell me about your mother." Something in his tone made Maya feel comfortable opening up. Maybe it was his genuine interest, or maybe it was because he had already shown kindness without expecting anything in return. "She's amazing," Maya said, her voice growing stronger. "She works 2 jobs to take care of us. She cleans houses during the day and works at Miller's Diner at night. She never complains, even though I know she's tired all the time. She always puts my needs first." Robert listened intently. "And what about you? Do you work?" "I clean offices on weekends," Maya explained. "It's not much, but it helps with groceries sometimes. I want to go to college, but we can't really afford it right now." They had been walking slowly toward the parking lot, but now Robert stopped completely. "Maya, would you mind if I asked you a personal question?" Maya hesitated but nodded. "What would you do if money wasn't a problem? What's your dream?" The question caught Maya off guard. No one had ever asked her about dreams before. In her world, people focused on surviving, not dreaming. "I want to be a teacher," she said without hesitation. "I love working with kids. I help tutor some of the younger students at my school for free. I think education can change everything." Robert's eyes seemed to light up at her answer. "That's a wonderful goal. The world needs more passionate teachers." They reached the edge of the parking lot where their paths would separate. Maya lived several blocks away in the opposite direction from where Robert was headed toward a sleek black car that probably cost more than her family's rent for several years. "Maya," Robert said, reaching into his jacket pocket, "I want to give you my business card. If you're serious about college, call me next week." Maya looked at the card he handed her. It was thick, expensive-looking paper with simple black lettering, "Robert Mitchell, CEO, Mitchell Foundation." There was a phone number and an address in the wealthy part of the city. "I don't understand," Maya said, confused. Robert smiled. "The Mitchell Foundation provides scholarships to deserving students who want to make a difference in the world. Based on our conversation, I think you might be exactly the kind of person we're looking for." Maya stared at the card in disbelief. "Are you serious?" "Very serious. But first, I want you to call me and tell me how your mother's birthday goes. I have a feeling that cake is going to mean more to her than you realize." As Robert walked away toward his car, Maya stood frozen in place, holding the business card and her bag with the cake. She watched as he got into his car and drove away, wondering if what had just happened was real. The walk home felt different than the walk to the store. Maya's mind was racing with possibilities she had never dared to consider. Could this really be the break she had been hoping for? Was it possible that buying her mother a birthday cake had somehow changed her entire future? When she reached her apartment building, Maya climbed the 3 flights of stairs to their small unit. The hallway smelled like cooking food and cleaning supplies, familiar scents that usually made her feel at home. Tonight, though, everything felt different. Maya quietly unlocked the door and slipped inside. The apartment was dark except for the light from the small television in the living room. Her mother was asleep on the couch, still wearing her diner uniform. She had probably come home exhausted and fallen asleep waiting for Maya to return. Maya tiptoed to the kitchen and carefully placed the cake in their small refrigerator. She looked at Robert's business card again, reading his name over and over to convince herself it was real. Then she tucked it safely into her school notebook. As she got ready for bed, Maya thought about what she would say when she called Robert next week. She thought about her mother's face when she saw the birthday cake. Most of all, she thought about the possibility that sometimes, when you least expect it, life can surprise you with hope. That night, Maya fell asleep with a smile on her face for the first time in months. Tomorrow would be her mother's birthday, and for once, Maya felt like she had something truly special to give her, not just a cake, but a story of unexpected kindness and the promise of dreams that might actually come true. The $10 that had seemed so inadequate just hours before had somehow become the beginning of something bigger than Maya could have imagined. Sometimes the most ordinary moments turn into the most extraordinary opportunities, and Maya was about to discover that her life was full of possibilities she had never dared to dream of. Outside their apartment window, the city lights twinkled like stars, and Maya drifted off to sleep thinking that maybe, just maybe, wishes really could come true. Maya woke up early the next morning, her heart racing with excitement about her mother's birthday. Sunlight was streaming through their small apartment window, and she could hear the sounds of the city waking up below. For the first time in weeks, she felt genuinely hopeful about the day ahead. She tiptoed to the kitchen and carefully removed the chocolate cake from the refrigerator. It looked perfect in the morning light, and she arranged the candles on top in a neat circle. Maya had never been good at decorating, but she did her best to make it look special. She found a small piece of paper and wrote, "Happy Birthday, Mom," in her handwriting, then carefully placed it next to the cake. Sandra was still sleeping on the couch where Maya had found her the night before. Maya gently shook her mother's shoulder. "Mom, it's time to wake up. I have a surprise for you." Sandra stirred and opened her eyes slowly. When she saw Maya standing there with such a bright expression, she couldn't help but smile. "Good morning, sweetheart. You're up early today." "It's your birthday, Mom. I made you breakfast." Maya helped her mother sit up on the couch. Sandra stretched and looked around the apartment. "Maya, honey, you didn't have to do anything special. I know money's tight right now." But Maya was already walking back toward the kitchen, practically bouncing with excitement. "Just come to the kitchen table, please." Sandra followed her daughter, curious about what Maya had planned. When she saw the chocolate cake with candles arranged on their small kitchen table, her hand flew to her mouth in surprise. "Maya, where did you get this?" Sandra's eyes filled with tears. She knew exactly how much money they had, and she knew Maya must have spent her entire weekend earnings on this cake. "I saved up from cleaning the offices," Maya explained proudly, "and something amazing happened at the store last night." She lit the candles carefully, then looked at her mother's face in the soft glow. Sandra sat down at the table, overwhelmed by her daughter's thoughtfulness. "Sweetheart, you shouldn't have spent your money on me. You've been saving for college." "Mom, you work so hard for us. You deserve to have a real birthday celebration." Maya sat down across from her mother. "Make a wish and blow out the candles." Sandra closed her eyes for a moment, then blew out all the candles at once. When she opened her eyes, Maya was grinning at her with such joy that Sandra felt her heart might burst with love for this incredible daughter of hers. As they shared pieces of cake for breakfast, something Sandra never would have allowed under normal circumstances, Maya told her mother about meeting Robert at the grocery store. "He seemed really nice, Mom. He gave me his business card and said to call him about college scholarships." Maya pulled the card out of her notebook and showed it to her mother. Sandra examined the card carefully. The name Robert Mitchell didn't mean anything to her, but the Mitchell Foundation address was in the wealthiest part of the city. She had cleaned houses in that neighborhood and knew that people who lived there had more money than her family could imagine. "Maya, this sounds almost too good to be true," Sandra said gently. "I want you to be careful. Sometimes people who seem helpful might want something in return." Maya understood her mother's caution. In their neighborhood, people learned to be suspicious of offers that seemed too generous, but something about Robert had felt genuine. "He didn't ask for anything, Mom. He just wanted to help, and he specifically said I should call after your birthday to tell him how it went." Sandra smiled at her daughter's optimism. "Well, what harm could a phone call do? Just promise me you'll be smart about it." After breakfast, Sandra had to leave for her day job cleaning houses. Maya hugged her mother extra tightly before she left, breathing in the familiar smell of her mother's lotion mixed with the harsh cleaning chemicals that always seemed to cling to her clothes. "Thank you for the most wonderful birthday surprise," Sandra whispered into Maya's ear. "I love you more than you'll ever know." Maya spent the morning doing homework and thinking about whether she should actually call Robert. Part of her worried that her mother was right to be cautious. Another part of her wondered if this might be the opportunity she had been praying for. Around noon, Maya decided to walk to the library. She wanted to research the Mitchell Foundation before making any decisions. The library was several blocks away, but Maya didn't mind the walk. It gave her time to think. The librarian, Mrs., knew Maya well. Maya came here regularly to use the computers for school projects and to check out books. Mrs. had always been kind to Maya, sometimes letting her stay after closing time to finish important assignments. Good afternoon, Maya, Mrs. said warmly. Working on a school project today. Actually, I'm trying to research something, Maya explained. Have you ever heard of the Mitchell Foundation? Mrs. eyebrows raised with interest. The Mitchell Foundation? Of course. They're one of the most respected charitable organizations in the city. They provide scholarships for underprivileged students. Why do you ask? Maya felt a wave of relief wash over her. If Mrs. knew about the foundation, it must be legitimate. I met someone yesterday who said I should apply for a scholarship. That's wonderful news, Maya. You would be perfect for their program. Mrs. walked Maya over to one of the computers. Let's look up their website so you can learn more about them. As the Mitchell Foundation website loaded, Maya's eyes grew wide. There were photos of dozens of students who had received scholarships over the years. She read story after story of young people from backgrounds similar to hers who had gone on to attend college and build successful careers. Look at this, Mrs. pointed to a section titled Our Founder. There was a photo of Robert Mitchell, the same man Maya had met at the grocery store. The biography explained that he had grown up in poverty himself and had built a successful business empire. He started the foundation to help other young people overcome the same obstacles he had faced. Maya read every word on the website. The foundation looked for students who showed academic promise, financial need, and a commitment to giving back to their communities. Maya realized she met all of those criteria. Mrs., do you really think I have a chance? Maya asked nervously. Maya, you're one of the most dedicated students I've ever met. You tutor younger children for free, you work to help support your family, and your grades are excellent despite all your challenges. If Mr. Mitchell met you personally, I think he saw something special. Maya printed out the scholarship application and walked home with a new sense of purpose. She spent the entire afternoon carefully filling out every section, writing and rewriting her essays until they were perfect. That evening, when Sandra came home from her day job, Maya showed her everything she had learned about the Mitchell Foundation. I'm impressed, Sandra admitted as she read through the website information. This seems like the real deal, but Maya, I don't want you to get your hopes up too high. These kinds of scholarships are very competitive. I know, Mom, but I have to try right. Sandra nodded. Of course you do. I'm proud of you for taking this seriously. Maya spent the next several days perfecting her application. She asked her English teacher to review her essays. She gathered all her transcripts and recommendation letters, and she even wrote a thank you note to Robert for his kindness at the grocery store. Finally, Maya felt ready to make the phone call. It was exactly 1 week after meeting Robert, just as he had suggested. Maya's hands were shaking as she dialed the number on his business card. Mitchell Foundation, this is Robert Mitchell speaking, came the familiar voice from the other end of the line. Mr. Mitchell, this is Maya Johnson. We met at the grocery store last week. Maya, I was hoping you would call. How did your mother's birthday go? Maya found herself smiling as she described the morning with her mother and the chocolate cake. Robert listened to every detail with genuine interest. That sounds like a perfect birthday celebration, Robert said warmly. And did you have a chance to research the foundation? Yes, sir. I went to the library and learned all about your scholarship program. I filled out the application, but I wanted to talk to you first. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Maya, I have to be honest with you. When I met you at the store, I was going through a difficult time in my life. I had just come from visiting my mother, who's in the hospital. I was feeling pretty lonely and sorry for myself. Maya wasn't sure what to say, so she just listened. But watching you sacrifice your last $10 for your mother's birthday cake reminded me of why I started this foundation in the first place. You showed me that there are still young people out there who understand the value of putting family first. Mr. Mitchell, I just want to say thank you again for helping me with the candles. That small gesture meant so much. Maya, I want to invite you and your mother to have lunch with me this Saturday. Would that be possible? I'd like to meet the woman who raised such a thoughtful daughter. Maya could hardly believe what she was hearing. Really? You want to meet my mom? I do, and I want to discuss your college plans in person. Are you free Saturday at noon? Maya quickly agreed, and Robert gave her the address of a nice restaurant downtown. After hanging up the phone, Maya sat in stunned silence for several minutes. This was really happening. When Sandra came home that night, Maya told her about the phone call and the lunch invitation. He wants to meet me, Sandra asked, surprised. He said he wants to meet the woman who raised such a thoughtful daughter. Maya repeated Robert's exact words. Sandra felt a mix of pride and nervousness. She had never been to a fancy restaurant, and she worried about making a good impression. But seeing the hope and excitement in Maya's eyes, she knew she would do whatever it took to support her daughter's dreams. I guess I better figure out what to wear to lunch with a billionaire, Sandra said with a nervous laugh. Maya hugged her mother tightly. Just be yourself, Mom. You're amazing exactly as you are. As Maya went to bed that night, she thought about how much her life had changed in just 1 week. A simple trip to buy birthday cake had led to meeting someone who might help her achieve her dreams of going to college. But more than that, it had reminded her that kindness still existed in the world, and that sometimes the smallest gestures could lead to the biggest opportunities. Saturday morning arrived with Maya feeling more nervous than she had ever felt in her life. She stood in front of their small closet, staring at the few dresses she owned. None of them seemed right for lunch with someone as important as Robert Mitchell. Sandra was having the same problem in their shared bedroom. She had laid out her one good dress, a simple navy blue one she wore to church, but she worried it wasn't fancy enough for a restaurant in the wealthy part of town. Mom, you look beautiful, Maya said, peeking into the bedroom, and she meant it. Sandra had always carried herself with dignity, regardless of what she wore. Are you sure about this, sweetheart? Sandra asked for the 10th time that morning. I've never been to a restaurant like the one he mentioned. What if I embarrass you? Maya sat down on the bed next to her mother. Mom, you've worked in rich people's houses. You know how to act around anyone. Besides, Mr. Mitchell seemed really nice and normal when I met him. Sandra took a deep breath. You're right, I'm just nervous because this could be so important for your future. They caught the bus downtown, both dressed in their best clothes. Maya carried a small purse that had belonged to her grandmother, and Sandra wore the only pair of dress shoes she owned. During the bus ride, they went over everything Maya had learned about Robert Mitchell and the foundation. The restaurant was in a beautiful part of the city that Maya and Sandra rarely visited. Tall trees lined the streets, and every building looked expensive and well-maintained. Maya felt intimidated as they approached the restaurant entrance. A man in a uniform opened the door for them, and Maya whispered, "Thank you," as they walked inside. The restaurant was elegant but not overwhelmingly fancy. Soft music played in the background, and the lighting was warm and welcoming. We're here to meet Robert Mitchell, Maya told the hostess nervously. Of course, Mr. Mitchell is already seated, right this way. They followed the hostess through the restaurant, past tables filled with well-dressed people enjoying their meals. Maya noticed that she and her mother were among the few black customers in the restaurant, but she tried not to let that make her more nervous than she already was. Robert stood up as they approached his table. He was wearing a casual button-down shirt and khaki pants, much less formal than Maya had expected. His smile was warm and genuine, the same kind expression Maya remembered from their first meeting. Maya, it's wonderful to see you again, he said, extending his hand for a handshake. And you must be Sandra. I've heard so many wonderful things about you. Sandra shook his hand, surprised by how comfortable he made her feel right away. Thank you for inviting us, Mr. Mitchell. This is very kind of you. Please call me Robert, and thank you for raising such an exceptional daughter. As they sat down, Robert immediately began asking Sandra questions about her work and her experiences raising Maya as a single mother. He listened intently to her answers, asking follow-up questions that showed genuine interest in her life. Maya told me you work 2 jobs, Robert said. That must be incredibly challenging. Sandra nodded. It is sometimes, but Maya makes it all worthwhile. She's been my motivation to keep going, especially when things get tough. Tell me about Maya as a child. Was she always so thoughtful? Sandra's face lit up as she began sharing stories about Maya's childhood. She told Robert about how Maya would help her clean house when she was just 6 years old, insisting on doing her part to help the family. She described how Maya had always been protective of other children at school, standing up to bullies and helping kids who were struggling with their homework. Maya felt embarrassed listening to her mother praise her so openly, but Robert seemed fascinated by every story. It sounds like Maya has always had a strong sense of responsibility and compassion for others, Robert observed. Those are exactly the qualities we look for in our scholarship recipients. The conversation flowed naturally as they ordered their food. Robert chose simple items from the menu and encouraged Maya and Sandra to order whatever they wanted. Neither of them had eaten in a restaurant this nice before, so Robert helped them navigate the menu, recommending his favorite dishes. As they waited for their food, Robert began sharing his own story. I grew up not far from your neighborhood, actually. My mother raised me alone, just like you're raising Maya. We didn't have much money, but she taught me the value of hard work and education. Maya and Sandra listened as Robert described his childhood struggles. His mother had worked as a housekeeper, just like Sandra cleaned houses now. There were many nights when they had to choose between paying for electricity or buying groceries, but his mother always insisted that education was the key to a better life. When I was Maya's age, I thought college was impossible for someone like me, but a teacher noticed my potential and helped me apply for scholarships. That changed everything. Is that why you started the foundation? Maya asked. Exactly. I never forgot how one person's belief in me opened doors I didn't even know existed. I wanted to be that person for other young people. Their food arrived, and the conversation continued over lunch. Robert asked Maya about her favorite subjects in school, her tutoring work with younger students, and her dreams for the future. I want to be an elementary school teacher, Maya explained. I love working with kids, and I think education is the most important thing we can give them. In my neighborhood, a lot of kids don't believe they can succeed. I want to show them that they can achieve anything if they work hard and have someone who believes in them. Robert smiled. That's exactly the kind of thinking that tells me you're going to be an outstanding teacher. As they finished their meal, Robert became more serious. Maya, I want to be direct with you about the scholarship program. We receive thousands of applications every year for only 50 scholarships. The competition is incredibly intense. Maya felt her heart sink a little, but Robert continued. However, after meeting you and talking with both of you today, I believe you have something special that can't be measured on a standard application. Your character, your determination, and your genuine desire to help others set you apart. Sandra reached over and squeezed Maya's hand under the table. I want to offer you a full scholarship to the college of your choice, Robert said quietly. This includes tuition, room and board, books, and a living allowance. Maya stared at him in disbelief. Are you serious? Completely serious. There are some conditions, of course. You'll need to maintain good grades, and you'll be expected to volunteer with the Foundation's mentoring program for younger students. But if you're willing to accept those responsibilities, the scholarship is yours. Sandra felt tears starting to flow down her cheeks. Mr. Mitchell, Robert, I don't know what to say. This is more than we ever dreamed possible. Robert reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. These are the official scholarship documents. Take them home, read them carefully, and let me know your decision by next Friday. Maya took the envelope with shaking hands. I don't need to wait until Friday. Yes, absolutely yes. Robert laughed at her enthusiasm. I admire your certainty, but please take time to read everything and discuss it with your mother. This is a big decision that will change both of your lives. As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Robert had one more surprise. Sandra, I know you're concerned about Maya going away to college and losing the income from her weekend job. The Foundation has a program that provides financial support to families of scholarship recipients. We want to make sure that Maya's success doesn't create hardship for you. Sandra was overwhelmed. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. You've already given the world an incredible young woman who's going to make a real difference. That's thanks enough. Outside the restaurant, as they waited for their bus, Maya and Sandra stood in amazed silence. The envelope in Maya's hands felt like it contained their entire future. Is this really happening? Maya whispered. Sandra hugged her daughter tightly. It's happening, baby. All your hard work and good heart have finally been noticed by someone who can help. On the bus ride home, they read through the scholarship documents together. Everything Robert had promised was there in writing: full tuition, room and board, books, even money for clothes and personal expenses. The mentoring requirement actually excited Maya rather than worried her. I'll be able to help other kids who are in the same situation I was in, Maya said. Kids who think college is impossible. Just like Robert helped you, Sandra pointed out. That evening, Maya called her English teacher, Mrs., to share the incredible news. Mrs. had always encouraged Maya's academic ambitions, and she cried with joy when she heard about the scholarship. "Maya, this doesn't surprise me at all," Mrs. said. "You've always been special. I'm just so happy that someone else finally recognized it." Maya also called Mrs. at the library to thank her for helping with the research about the Mitchell Foundation. "I told you that you were perfect for their program," Mrs. said proudly. "This is just the beginning for you, Maya. You're going to do amazing things." That night, as Maya lay in bed, she thought about the series of events that had led to this moment. If she hadn't decided to buy her mother a birthday cake, she never would have met Robert. If she hadn't forgotten about tax on the cake, she wouldn't have needed help with the candles. If Robert hadn't been at the store at exactly that moment, none of this would have happened. But it had happened, all of it. And now Maya's dreams of college and becoming a teacher were not just possible, they were guaranteed. In the next room, Sandra was also lying awake, thinking about how proud she was of Maya and how grateful she felt to Robert Mitchell. For years, she had worried about what would happen to Maya without money for college. Now, not only was Maya's education secured, but Sandra herself would have financial support to continue working just one job instead of two. 3 months later, Maya stood in her high school guidance counselor's office, holding acceptance letters from 5 different universities. The Mitchell Foundation scholarship had opened doors she never knew existed, and now she faced the wonderful problem of choosing between excellent options. "Maya, this is incredible," said Mrs. Williams, her guidance counselor. "All 5 schools are highly ranked for education programs. You really can't go wrong with any of these choices." Maya spread the letters across the desk, studying each one carefully. There was State University, known for its excellent teacher preparation program. City College offered a special scholarship for urban education. The private liberal arts college would give her small class sizes and individual attention. Each school had something unique to offer. "I never imagined I'd have choices like this," Maya admitted. "6 months ago, I thought college was just a dream." Mrs. Williams smiled. "Sometimes life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. What does your heart tell you?" Maya picked up the letter from State University. "I think this one feels right. They have a program where education students can start working with children in their first year. Plus, it's close enough that I can come home to visit my mom regularly." "That sounds like a perfect fit for you." That evening, Maya called Robert to share her decision. Over the past few months, they had developed a genuine friendship. Robert checked in with Maya regularly, offering advice about college preparation and sharing stories from other scholarship recipients. "State University is an excellent choice," Robert said approvingly. "They have one of the best education programs in the state. You'll be well prepared to make a real difference in children's lives." "Mr. Mitchell, I mean Robert," Maya corrected herself. He had asked her to use his first name months ago, but she still sometimes forgot. "I wanted to ask you about the mentoring program you mentioned. When can I start helping other students?" Robert's voice warmed with pride. "Actually, I was hoping you'd ask about that. We're starting a summer program for high school students who are interested in applying for scholarships. Would you be willing to help mentor them?" "Absolutely. I remember how scared and confused I felt when I first learned about the foundation. I'd love to help other kids navigate the process." "Perfect. The program starts in 2 weeks. You'll be working with 15 students who are in situations similar to what yours was. Some of them are even more challenging." Maya felt a flutter of excitement mixed with nervousness. What if I don't know how to help them? "Maya, you know exactly how to help them because you've been where they are. Just be yourself and share your experience honestly. That's all they need." The summer mentoring program met 3 times a week at the Foundation's offices downtown. Maya took the bus there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning, carrying a notebook full of ideas for helping the students. On the first day, Maya walked into a conference room filled with teenagers who looked exactly like she had felt 6 months earlier, hopeful but scared, excited but uncertain. There were 15 students, ranging in age from 16 to 18, from all different backgrounds and neighborhoods. "Hi everyone, I'm Maya Johnson," she began nervously. "I'm here because last year I was sitting in chairs just like yours, wondering if college was really possible for someone like me." She told them her story, the $10 for her mother's birthday cake, Meeting Robert at the grocery store, the lunch at the restaurant, and the scholarship offer that changed everything. "The most important thing I want you to understand," Maya said, "is that you all deserve to be here. You all have something special to offer the world. My job is just to help you figure out how to show that to the admissions committees." One student, a 17-year-old boy named, raised his hand. "But what if our grades aren't perfect? I had some tough years when my dad lost his job." Maya nodded understandingly. "My grades weren't perfect either. I had to work weekends to help my family, which sometimes meant I couldn't spend as much time on homework as I wanted. But what matters is showing that you never gave up, that you kept trying even when things were hard." A girl named Jennifer spoke up next. "I don't know how to write essays about myself. I've never done anything important." "Jennifer, I bet you've done more important things than you realize. Do you help take care of younger siblings? Do you work to help your family? Do you volunteer in your community? All of those things matter." Over the following weeks, Maya worked with each student individually to identify their strengths and develop their applications. She helped write an essay about how his father's job loss taught him resilience and motivated him to study business. She worked with Jennifer to recognize that caring for her three younger brothers while her mother worked night shifts demonstrated incredible responsibility and maturity. Maya discovered that she loved teaching and mentoring even more than she had expected. Each student presented unique challenges and opportunities, and finding ways to help them succeed felt like solving wonderful puzzles. One of her favorite students was a quiet girl named who wanted to study medicine, but was convinced she wasn't smart enough. Had excellent grades in science, but struggled with English and writing. "I'm good at memorizing facts," explained during one of their sessions, "but I can't explain things in writing the way colleges want." Maya spent extra time with, teaching her techniques for organizing her thoughts and expressing herself clearly. They practiced writing essays together, with Maya providing encouragement and gentle corrections. "You have an incredible mind for science," Maya told her. "You just need to learn how to translate your thoughts into words that other people can understand. That's a skill you can learn." Slowly, confidence grew. Her essays improved dramatically, and she began to believe that medical school might actually be possible for her. The program also included workshops on college life, financial aid, and academic success strategies. Maya invited Sandra to speak to the students about supporting their children's educational goals from a parent's perspective. "Some of your parents might be worried about you going to college," Sandra told the group. "They might worry about the cost or about you changing and forgetting where you came from. Those fears come from love, not from wanting to hold you back." Sandra shared how proud she was of Maya's success and how the Foundation's family support program had made it possible for her to encourage Maya's dreams without worrying about their family's financial stability. "Education doesn't take you away from your family," Sandra explained. "It gives you more tools to help your family and your community." As the summer program neared its end, Maya was amazed by the progress all 15 students had made. They had completed their applications, written compelling essays, and developed confidence in their ability to succeed in college. The program concluded with a celebration dinner where each student presented their college plans to the group. Maya felt like a proud teacher watching her students shine. Had decided to apply to business school with the goal of starting a company that would provide job training for people experiencing unemployment. Jennifer was planning to study social work so she could help families like her own. Had gathered the courage to apply to pre-med programs at several universities. "6 months ago, I never thought college was possible," told the group during her presentation. "Maya helped me see that wanting to help people was enough reason to try, even if I wasn't sure I was smart enough." After the celebration dinner, Robert pulled Maya aside. "I've been watching you work with these students all summer," he said. "You're a natural teacher and mentor. I have a proposition for you." Maya listened intently. "The Foundation is expanding the mentoring program, and we need someone to coordinate it year-round. It would be a part-time position that you could do during college, and it would give you incredible experience working with students from all different backgrounds." "You mean I could keep doing this while I'm in college?" "Exactly. You could mentor students via video calls, help develop new programs, and work with them during your school breaks. It would also provide you with some additional income, and look excellent on your resume when you apply for teaching jobs after graduation." Maya didn't hesitate. "Yes, absolutely yes." Robert smiled. "I thought you might say that. You found your calling, Maya." As Maya prepared for her first semester at State University, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude for how much her life had changed. The scholarship had given her access to education, but the mentoring program had shown her that she could make a difference in other people's lives right now, not just after she finished college. She spent her final weeks at home helping her mother adjust to life without Maya's weekend income. Thanks to the Foundation's family support program, Sandra was able to quit her night job at the diner and focus on just her daytime house cleaning work. For the first time in years, Sandra had evenings free to rest and pursue her own interests. "I'm going to miss you so much," Sandra said as they packed Maya's belongings for college. "But I'm so proud of the woman you've become." "Mom, I'm only going to be 2 hours away. And now that you only work one job, maybe you can even come visit me on campus sometimes." Sandra smiled. "I'd like that. I want to see this college that my daughter is going to attend." On her last night at home, Maya sat in her small bedroom surrounded by boxes of her belongings. She thought about the journey that had brought her to this moment, starting with a $10 bill and a chocolate cake. She pulled out her phone and sent a text message to Robert. "Thank you for believing in me before I believed in myself. I promise I'll make you proud." His response came back quickly. "You already have, Maya. You're going to change more lives than you can imagine." Maya looked around her childhood bedroom one last time. Tomorrow, she would begin a new chapter of her life, but she would never forget where she came from or the people who had helped her along the way. She was ready to continue paying forward the kindness that had changed her entire future. 4 years later, Maya stood in her cap and gown at State University's graduation ceremony, scanning the crowd for her mother's face. Sandra sat in the third row, wearing a new dress she had bought specially for this occasion, tears of pride streaming down her cheeks as she watched her daughter prepare to receive her bachelor's degree in elementary education. "Maya Johnson," the dean announced over the loudspeaker, "graduating summa cum with a degree in elementary education and a minor in educational psychology." As Maya walked across the stage to receive her diploma, she thought about the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. College had challenged her in ways she never expected, but it had also confirmed her calling as an educator. She had thrived in her education courses, excelled in her student teaching placements, and continued coordinating the Mitchell Foundation's mentoring program throughout her 4 years. The mentoring work had become one of the most meaningful parts of her college experience. Over the years, she had worked with more than 60 high school students, helping them navigate the college application process and believe in their potential. 15 of those students were now in college themselves, many of them on Mitchell Foundation scholarships. After the ceremony, Maya found Sandra in the crowd of families celebrating their graduates. They hugged for a long moment, both overwhelmed by the significance of this achievement. "I am so proud of you, baby," Sandra whispered. "Your daddy would have been so proud, too." Maya's father had died when she was 12, and Sandra rarely mentioned him. Hearing her mother invoke his memory made Maya's graduation feel even more special. "I couldn't have done this without you, Mom. Everything I've accomplished is because you taught me to work hard and never give up." Robert Mitchell appeared beside them, carrying a bouquet of flowers and wearing the biggest smile Maya had ever seen on his face. "Congratulations, Dr. Johnson," he said with a wink. "Well, not quite yet, but I have a feeling that's coming someday." Maya laughed and accepted his hug. Over the past 4 years, Robert had become like family to both Maya and Sandra. He had attended Maya's college plays, celebrated her academic achievements, and provided guidance whenever she faced difficult decisions. "Robert, I can't believe you came all this way for my graduation," Maya said. "I wouldn't have missed this for the world. This graduation represents so much more than just your education. It's proof that investing in young people with potential can change everything." Sandra smiled at Robert gratefully. "We owe you so much. You changed our entire lives." "Sandra, you raised an extraordinary daughter. I just provided some financial support. Maya did all the hard work." As they walked toward the reception area, Robert's expression grew more serious. "Maya, I have something I want to discuss with you. Do you have a few minutes?" They found a quiet corner where they could talk privately. Robert pulled out an envelope that looked similar to the scholarship documents Maya remembered from 4 years earlier. Maya, you know that I've been incredibly impressed with your work coordinating our mentoring program. The number of students you've helped get into college is remarkable, and your approach to working with them has been exactly what we hoped for. Maya nodded, wondering where this conversation was heading. The foundation is expanding significantly. We're opening programs in 5 new cities, and we need someone to oversee all of our educational initiatives. I want to offer you the position of Director of Educational Programs. Maya's eyes widened with surprise. Director? But Robert, I just graduated. I was planning to start teaching in an elementary school. I understand, and teaching is incredibly important work. But Maya, in this position, you could impact thousands of students instead of just the 30 or so you'd reach in a single classroom. You'd be developing programs, training mentors, and creating systems that could help students across multiple states. Maya felt torn. Teaching had been her dream for so long, and she had already accepted a position at an elementary school in a low-income neighborhood similar to the one where she grew up. What about my teaching job? I made a commitment to those kids. Robert smiled. I respect your sense of responsibility. What if we structured the position so you could spend half your time developing programs for the foundation and half your time teaching? We could partner with your school district to create a pilot program where you teach in the mornings and work on foundation initiatives in the afternoons. Maya looked at Sandra, who had been listening quietly. What do you think, Mom? Sweetheart, I think you should follow your heart. You've always wanted to help as many children as possible. This sounds like a way to do that on an even bigger scale. Maya thought about all the students she had mentored through the foundation over the past 4 years. She thought about who was now in her 3rd year of medical school. She thought about who had started a successful job training program in his community. She thought about Jennifer, who was studying social work and planning to return to help families in her neighborhood. Can I think about it for a few days? Maya asked. Of course, take all the time you need. That evening, Maya and Sandra celebrated at a nice restaurant, not as fancy as the one where Maya had first met Robert, but nicer than anywhere they had been able to afford in the past. As they shared dessert, Maya asked her mother for advice about Robert's job offer. Maya, do you remember what you told me when you first got the scholarship? You said education could change everything. Well, look how it's changed everything for us, and look how you've helped change things for all those students you've mentored. Sandra paused to take a sip of coffee before continuing. I think Robert is offering you a chance to change things for even more families like ours. That sounds pretty special to me. Maya spent the weekend thinking about her decision. She called some of her former mentees to ask for their perspective, was particularly encouraging. Maya, you changed my life by believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, said during their phone call. If you can do that for hundreds of students instead of just a few of us, imagine the impact you could have. On Monday morning, Maya called Robert to accept his offer. I want to take the position, she said, but with one condition. I want to make sure that part of my job involves direct contact with students. I don't want to become so focused on administration that I lose touch with the young people we're trying to help. Maya, that's exactly why you're perfect for this job. You understand that programs are only as good as the relationships they create with students. Maya's new position began immediately after graduation. She spent her first month traveling to the 5 new cities where the foundation was expanding, meeting with local educators and community leaders to understand the unique challenges facing students in each area. In Cleveland, she met with high school counselors who were overwhelmed by the number of students needing college guidance. In Atlanta, she visited community centers where teenagers gathered after school with nowhere to go for academic support. In Phoenix, she talked with teachers who were struggling to help undocumented students navigate the college application process. Each city had different needs, but the underlying challenge was the same: talented young people who didn't believe college was possible for them. Maya developed customized programs for each location, training local mentors and creating resources that addressed the specific barriers students faced in their communities. She also established video conferencing systems that allowed students from different cities to support each other and share their experiences. The pilot program with her elementary school was equally successful. Maya taught third grade in the mornings, working with children who reminded her of herself at that age, bright, curious, and full of potential, but growing up in circumstances that might limit their opportunities if no one intervened. In the afternoons, Maya worked on foundation initiatives, often bringing her elementary students with her to mentor high school students. The younger children loved feeling like they were helping big kids, and the high school students were motivated by the opportunity to be role models. "Miss Johnson," one of her third graders said after a mentoring session, "when I grow up, can I help kids go to college like you do?" "Absolutely," Maya replied. "That sounds like a wonderful goal." 2 years into her role as Director of Educational Programs, Maya received news that would change her life once again. The foundation had been selected to receive a major federal grant to expand its programs nationwide. Maya would be responsible for overseeing educational initiatives in all 50 states. The position would require her to move to Washington, D.C., and take on even greater responsibilities. It would also mean leaving her elementary school students and moving away from her mother. This time, Maya didn't need days to think about her decision. She knew that this opportunity would allow her to help thousands of students across the country access educational opportunities they never thought possible. Sandra was completely supportive of Maya's decision to move to Washington, though she admitted she would miss having her daughter nearby. "Maya, I've watched you grow from a little girl who wanted to buy me a birthday cake into a woman who's changing lives across the country. I'm not going to hold you back now." "Mom, what if I arranged for you to come with me? Washington has good job opportunities, and you could start fresh somewhere new." Sandra smiled. "Baby, I appreciate the offer, but my life is here. My friends are here, my church is here. Besides, I'm finally at a point where I can take care of myself comfortably. You don't need to worry about me anymore." Maya's move to Washington marked the beginning of a new chapter in her career. Her national program helped establish mentoring initiatives in hundreds of communities, creating pathways to college for students who had never imagined higher education was within their reach. 5 years after her college graduation, Maya found herself back where her journey had started, in a grocery store. But this time, she was the one offering help to someone else. She noticed a teenage boy at the checkout counter looking embarrassed as he counted crumpled dollar bills to pay for a small birthday cake. The cashier was explaining that he needed more money for tax. Maya stepped forward and handed the cashier a $20 bill. "Add some candles to that order," she said with a smile. The boy looked at her with gratitude and confusion. "Thank you, ma'am. I don't know how to repay you." Maya handed him her business card. "You don't need to repay me, but if you're interested in college, give me a call next week." As Maya left the store, she thought about the circle of kindness that had shaped her life. Robert had helped her when she needed it most, and now she was in a position to help others in the same way. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Sandra. "Saw your interview on the news tonight. So proud of my baby who's helping kids all over the country achieve their dreams." Maya smiled and typed back, "All because you taught me that love and determination can overcome anything. Thank you for believing in me first." That night, Maya fell asleep in her Washington apartment, grateful for the journey that had brought her from a girl with $10 and a dream to a woman with the power to make dreams come true for others. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes, and Maya was living proof that with the right support, anyone could exceed their own expectations. The story that began with a chocolate cake and $10 had become a legacy of hope, education, and opportunity that would continue touching lives for generations to come. The little girl who had once worried about having enough money for birthday cake was about to become a college student with the power to help other children achieve their dreams. Sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with the smallest steps. For the first time in years, Sandra fell asleep without worrying about money. Instead, she dreamed about watching Maya graduate from college and become the teacher she had always wanted to be. Maya's journey was just beginning, but she was no longer walking it alone. Saturday couldn't come soon enough,